So people with ADHD, when they take medication, a lot of them will say that it feels like even though they're taking a stimulant, uh, they feel like they're slowing down and that they've been going too fast their whole life and now they can slow down finally and actually function better. And I do have ADHD, and I empathized with that idea. But I think now I actually kind of understand why, or at least I have a way that I can explain it. Because I was listening to a psychologist or a psychiatrist speak, and he was saying that like stimulants like caffeine and amphetamines, or what's the other one they give for ADHD? Ritalin and Concerta. I don't know what chemical they are. I forget. They they tell your brain that you have more energy even though you don't. That's what they do. And that can be helpful, you know, for people. Some people who have like are really fatigued and sleepy. Some people might try that and find that helps them because, yeah, they do have more energy. It's just your brain isn't letting you access it. With ADHD, it's not necessarily about your energy. I feel like I've lost focus here and I need to restart, but then I'll end up restarting like 50 times and never publish the video. That is probably relevant in the sense that it's an ADHD symptom, but anyway. So I've always felt, and I think most people with ADHD felt that, well, I don't know. Maybe this is just my kind of ADHD and other people with ADHD feel differently, but I always felt like I had to speed up to catch up with everyone around me. Like I had to go faster than I can handle in order to catch up with everyone. I was always the last one to kind of catch on to things in class or like pack all my things to leave for the next class. I was very slow at just things, at interpreting things that I need to do and doing them, basically. I was always very slow at that. And I always felt like I was always in a rush. I never had time in between things. I was always in a rush to get the next thing done so that I could catch up, and that ends up making me very stressed out, which is a very common effect of ADHD. Is you end up very stressed out because you feel like you're compensating for a deficit there your whole life, basically. Well, that or you know, or you kind of accept it and you just don't meet the standards of those around you, which can make you sad. But both of those things are sad and traumatic, right? Like even if you manage to meet the expectations of those around you, you did it through like stressing yourself out chronically for 20 years and now you have a fucked up traumatized brain because of it, you know. um there's no winning with this, at least if you're not like, if you don't get treatment when you're a kid. And even if you get treatment, like who knows if it's gonna, like it might or might not agree with you or whatever. I certainly had my share of ADHD medications that went very poorly. Well, I had two that went poorly, one that did nothing, and Vyvanse actually did help me, but I I will be getting back on Vyvanse, but I have yet to hear back from them, so we'll see. Mm. See, I'm criticizing myself now because I'm getting off track again. But this is an ADHD video about ADHD for people with ADHD. I think the audience is going to be empathetic with that. I think I don't need to worry. I don't. I am worried that people are reading this note here, which says 20 minutes lighthearted, 20 minutes soothing. Um, I guess I guess I'll explain that since I feel the need to explain things. That's just my idea for what I should do in an ideal situation before I go to bed. Watch some like cartoon for 20 minutes and then listen to something that's just actually just makes you sleep for another 20 minutes. I don't actually stick by it, but I have the reminder up there for months now because it's a good idea and I like it, even though I don't do it. Anyway, an ADHD ramble about ADHD. Uh, when you're on medication, you feel like you're at the speed of everyone else, which is weird because now you don't feel like you need to be rushing anymore and you actually have to get used to slowing down. So in that way, giving medication to an ADHD person, it makes them capable of slowing down in that way. It makes it reasonable for them to slow down rather than be constantly stressed and constantly speeding up all the time, you know? They can handle like the normal speed and performance that's expected from them is achievable, at least in an ideal situation on medication. So now it's like, oh, I'm at a normal speed. I can just be at a normal speed and just be chilling with that. I don't feel like I'm rushing. I don't feel like I need to rush to keep up with things. I can slow down. And that ties into a mistake I made with my medication, which is or that is easy to make with it, which is, oh, I've been rushing all my life. It's all I've known for 25 years. Um, and now that I'm on the medication, I'm still the way that I am. I'm still rushing. So now I'm going extra fast. I'm going faster than I need to. And that's bad because, like the psychiatrist says, you don't actually have more energy when you are on caffeine or an amphetamine or Concerta or whatever. You don't actually have more energy, so you're going to get extra burnt out. You're going to get extra headaches. You're going to get extra horrible time. So it's weird because now when I'm not medicated, I feel the need to rush all the time. I do need to rush all the time to keep up with people. I have a hard time with that. But when I'm on medication, I actually need to slow down. I need to remind myself to slow down because I'm doing enough. And my instinct to rush is just wrong in that situation. I need to actively, I need to actually slow down. I don't feel as fatigued. I don't feel as incapable of things. But that doesn't mean that I should just go ham. Um, that doesn't mean that I don't still need rest or food or water. There's a reason that people on these meds tend to lose weight. Because before you're on the meds, having low energy is a cue for you to eat. And that medication makes you feel like you have more energy, so you don't feel as much like you need to eat. So you need to remind yourself to do the self-care things. And the great thing is, when you do remind yourself to do it, it's easier to do them. It's easier to implement them into your life without feeling guilty about it taking up the time and all that, because you know that you are more capable now of getting the things done that you need to do for yourself, for others. At least in an ideal situation. I know that medication doesn't agree with everyone, especially if there's like other conditions occurring. Like I know that a lot of people with autism and ADHD can have a more complicated experience with medication, and a lot of people find that it can make them anxious and things like that. I have a friend who just stops the medication for a few weeks during the summer, just for the summer or whatever, and then comes back on it when he feels like he needs it again. the wonderful thing about the stimulants in particular is you don't need to wean in and off of them. You don't need to have massive like month or 2 month long or 3 month long periods of just like waiting for the effects to happen and then waiting for them to go down. Like, you know, you do get used to them if you're taking them every day, but you get used to not being on them if you stop taking them every day. Um, yeah, and it's got me thinking. This has all gotten me thinking. Like, I kind of want to do one day on, one day off, sort of situation. Like I'm I'm disabled in other ways than just like ADHD and autism and whatever. And I have I get a government, I get a social welfare payment. Um, don't ask don't ask how to do that. It's really fucking annoying. But I managed it. I managed to get it. Um, no, if you want help with that and you're in Ireland, I mean, I am willing to help. Ignore me. That was a joke. I am willing to help people if people want advice on that. If you want to DM me about that, that is actually fine. I am very happy to help people. So don't get the wrong idea. Just be aware that it, depending on your situation, it might be a lot of fucking bullshit. Anyway, so basically all that is to say, like I'm living with my parents. I'd rather not. I think most people my age are living with their parents and would rather not anyway, regardless of whether they're disabled. So yeah, I guess that's not really a significant revelation. Um, all that is to say, I don't have a crazy, like I don't have a 9 to 5 uh, weekday schedule. Although I will say, ADHD medication on and off might be would is pretty good. Like if you're on a stimulant, it's pretty good if you're, you know, if you're on like shift work or whatever kind of work you're on, because you can take it anytime and it'll have its effects at that given time. So, you know, I do appreciate the how dynamic it can be. But anyway, my idea is to take it one day on, one day off, because I had an experience with it where I felt very overwhelmed and anxious and kind of had a panic attack last time I tried the medication. Um, that was about 2 weeks into it though, but I fear that a contributor was just the buildup of that over time. I know that it's supposed to mostly go out of your body by the end of the day, but it doesn't fully. And everybody metabolizes things differently. So I feel like it's a combination of taking it all the time, plus at the time I wasn't aware of the fact that like, hey, I need to purposefully slow down. I think those two variables will help me next time I start up Vyvanse, or I think it's called Tyvanse here. Is it called Tyvanse here? It's called Elvance in Europe, Tyvanse in Ireland, and Vyvanse pretty much everywhere else. Yes, okay. I think I remember that right. Yeah, it's actually called Tyvanse, specifically in Ireland and nowhere else. I'm pretty sure. Very weird. So forgive me, Irish viewers, for not being so committed to things. Uh, yeah. So that's my plan. The idea is that the medication will, if I take one every 2 days, the medication will have more time to wear off before the next dose, and that might be helpful for me. I don't know. I hope it is. Let me know if you have any experiences with that yourself. Yeah, any. I'm sure there's other ADHD people in the chat. Um, I think all of my content has been very somewhat ADHD or autism appealing in some way, be it uh, in the gaming sphere or the YouTube poops I used to do on this channel. And I did a lot of crazy vlogs in the past. You know, not too crazy, But yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's plenty of people of you guys here. Say hi. Say hi, freaks. In brackets, complimentary. Freaks clump. I'll shut up now.